Tonight on the Barbara Walters Special.
Audrey, Roman Holiday was your first film, and you won an Academy Award. So if you do get that Academy Award, what does this Oscar nomination mean to you? What would winning an Academy Award mean to you?
It's not enough to be nominated.
You know, at the risk of sounding egotistical, I expected to get nominated.
I think if the film wins, it's a lot more important than if I win.
I think I do deserve to win.
Do you think you will win 3 awards?
I'll tell you this, interestingly, I think I'm going to win 4.
Your older brother you described as a monster, and he abused you.
Yes.
From the time you were
7.
We talking about sexual abuse?
Yes.
Barbara, if you were a tree, since this is your last...
Oh, don't do this.
No,
I'm
this
not
is
gonna,
good.
I'm not
Table's
going to
turning.
play your game.
Keep the cameras rolling. Thank
I'm
you.
not, I
okay,
am
Barbara,
not playing your game. This is the end of the...
Barbara,
cut tape.
in
tape.
10 years.
Cut tape. Welcome to my final Oscar night special. This evening you will see and hear from every single person who has ever been on my Oscar specials over the past 29 years. That's about 90 stars. From Betty Davis to Miley Cyrus and every Tom, Dick, and Harrison in between. I'll tell you how it got started and why I am ending it on a very happy note. And that brings me to our 2 guests for the evening. First, Mo'Nique, Oscar-nominated tonight for Precious as Best Supporting Actress. But she has the sort of story you make into a movie. It's filled with incest and abuse and finally, triumph and laughter. And my pal, Sandra Bullock, nominated tonight for Best Actress in The Blind Side. And to my delight, she consented to be my last Oscar night interview. Let's get started.
And I don't want you to sit there and judge me, Miss Weiss.
You shut up and you let him abuse your daughter.
I did not want him to abuse my daughter. I did not want him to hurt her.
But you allowed him to.
The movie is Precious.
So those things that she told you I did to her.
The actress is Mo'Nique.
Who else was going to love me?
And the character is a monster.
Precious! Precious! Get down here, bitch!
Mo'Nique is nominated tonight for Best Actress in a Supporting Role for playing Mary Jones, and she is one bad mother.
Bitch! Now smile about that! Smile about that, you fat bitch!
Hard to believe this is one of America's most successful comedians.
I'm gonna kill you, bitch! Skinny women are evil and they need to be destroyed, baby!
If you thought her performance in Precious was raw,
If you're sitting next to a skinny bitch, take your fist
you haven't seen her act.
and hit that bitch in the top of her head.
On stage,
It's the Mo'Nique Show!
on her own talk show, in sitcoms,
I just didn't want to brag. How you doing?
and in the movies.
Now drop them drawers.
Mo'Nique is big and loud and funny.
Have it in check. Welcome to Mo'Nique's Fat Chance.
If she wins tonight, this will most likely be the first Oscar ever awarded to a reality show host. She was born Monique Imes in Baltimore.
Mo'Nique, straight ahead, please.
But today, at age 42, she lives in Atlanta, Georgia, with her 3rd husband and business partner, Sidney Hicks. They've known each other since childhood. 4 years ago, they had twin boys. Mo'Nique also has a son from her first marriage. So Atlanta's a good place to raise your 2 little boys, isn't it?
Atlanta is an amazing place.
I should warn you that parts of her story are disturbing, and if you have very young children, you may find some of this inappropriate. What would winning an Oscar mean to you?
It's a great accomplishment, and it's that kid in the bathroom mirror with the bathrobe and the bath towel wrapped around me with the brush in my hand, saying, I would like to thank. It's that same
Did you
little
do
girl.
that when you were a little kid? You were already thanking people for awards?
Baby, I did that. I signed autographs because, and people say to me, well, did you think that this would ever happen? And my response is yes, because if I didn't think it, why get in the game?
You know, there has been that backlash of some critics saying that this movie makes black people look bad. this terrible, abusive family. What do you say to that?
I say that this terrible, abusive family is colorless. We were just the people that were chosen to be Precious and Mary Jones. But Precious and Mary Jones is every color, every gender. It's universal.
You've said that you understood Mary Jones.
Yes.
What did you understand?
See, I knew Mary Jones. Mary Jones was my oldest brother.
I want to go to that.
Okay.
Because you went to a very dark place to play this. And you said that your older brother, what, 10 years older than you? Your older brother you described as a monster. And he abused you.
Yes.
From the time you were
7.
7. How did he abuse you? Are we talking about sexual abuse?
Yes. Sexual abuse can be someone touching your breasts, someone rubbing your vagina, someone rubbing your behind, someone rubbing up against you with their private parts. So for me to go into detail.
Okay, but did he do all that?
Yes.
Why didn't you tell your parents?
I think for the same reason most people don't tell. You're afraid. I was afraid of my brother.
At what point did you tell your parents?
I was 15 when I told.
Did they believe you?
Yes.
Did they do anything to him?
In the moment, he was asked to leave. And that was pretty much it. That was pretty much it. And I'll say this, my situation is not unique. Because when it involves families and your children, most people, you really don't know what to do. And in doing the movie and playing Mary Jones, it made me stop resenting my brother.
Because?
Because I understood mental illness. I understood the disease. No, that's a disease. It's a sickness. And if it doesn't go treated, if you don't get it treated and get it taken care of, Mary Jones.
Your brother did this to someone else?
Yes.
And went to prison?
Yes.
Did your brother ever apologize to you?
The apology that I got from my brother is, if you think I did something wrong, then I'm sorry.
Yeah. Do you see your brother?
The last time I saw my brother was when I had the twins.
Your little boys?
Yes. And he came up to the hospital and he held one of the twins. And at that moment, I had a conversation with my brother. And we have not spoken since then.
You didn't want him
Did not.
holding your children and being part of your life?
Did not.
You've been open about the fact that you went into therapy. What did you learn about yourself?
It ain't that heavy. Let it go. And that's something that my husband has been telling me since we were 14 years old. That's what I learned in therapy. It ain't heavy, mama. Let it go and move on.
You've been married 3 times?
3 times.
Okay, the first 2 marriages didn't work.
Did not work.
Okay, then in 2006,
Yes.
you marry Sidney Hicks,
Yes.
who has been your friend since childhood. You have said
Yes.
cheating is when you lie and are deceitful,
Yes.
not when you have sex outside of the marriage.
Yes.
Do you and Sid have sex outside of the marriage?
Do we have sex outside of the marriage? Let me say this. I have not had sex outside of my marriage with Sidney. Could I have sex outside of my marriage with Sidney? Yes. Could Sid have sex outside of his marriage with me? Yes. That's not a deal breaker. That's not something that we would say, oh my God, because you are attracted to another person and because you happen to have sex, let's end the marriage. No.
But what if it's not once? What if it's...
What if it's 20 times?
Yeah, what if?
And so what?
You wouldn't care?
That's not something that would make us say, pack your things and let's end the marriage, because we've been best friends for, is it over 25 years? And we truly know who we are. Truly. Oftentimes, people get into marriages and they don't know who they're laying next to. I'm very comfortable and secure with my husband.
You are in an open marriage?
Yes.
Okay, just define for me open marriage.
No secrets. Open means, you know what, let me tell you my every secret, my fantasies, my thoughts, so that way there are no surprises.
Okay. Now, you do not believe in shaving your legs.
No, ma'am.
Why not?
If you have seen my legs, Barbara, now I'm 42 and I'm very hairy. Now, the older you get, your hair drops off, right? So, as a younger woman, I was even hairier. I tried shaving one time. It was so uncomfortable and so painful. And when it grew back even thicker and more of it. I said, never again will I do that to myself.
Does Sid like the hairy legs?
He loves the hairy legs.
Well, what else matters then?
What else matters, Barbara?
If Sid likes the hairy legs, there you go. I want you to do something for me.
Okay.
For the people who have not seen Monique the comedian,
yes.
Can you transform yourself for 30 seconds and either give me a part of your act or say something so I see the
Hey,
other?
my sugars, how y'all doing, baby? I hope you have on your Depends, because you might tinkle just a little bit. It's all right, baby. Buckle up and get ready.
You're my baby.
You're my... Yes, ma'am.
Coming up, 29 years of Oscar specials, plus an all-new interview with nominee Sandra Bullock. The Barbara Walters Special, brought to you by Kohl's. The more you know, the more you Kohl's. Kohl's, expect great things.
I promised I'd tell you why this is the last Oscar special I will be hosting. Here goes. I'm kind of sick of it. Yes, it has been rewarding, and I appreciate that so many stars have said yes to being interviewed, and so many viewers have said yes to watching. But I'm still sick of it. I'm sick of the stares. I have been down too many of them. On this Academy Award night, I have been on stairs at the Pantages Theater in Los Angeles, at Radio City Music Hall in New York, the set of Sunset Boulevard, and more. So many stairs that Jimmy Kimmel once satirized my classic descents on a special of his own. I finally told my producer no more stairs, and he put me on an escalator. An escalator. I have been in every hotel lobby and grand public space that I can think of, all dressed up and nowhere to go. Every now and then, I'll walk into some building and say, didn't we shoot here once? Usually the answer is yes. Now I sit or I stand and I wear nice gowns. I'm not sick of the gowns. I just want to make that clear.
Heart to Heart won't be seen tonight, so that we may bring you the following special program.
I've racked my brain, but I can't remember why I was asked to host the first Oscar special in 1981.
The Barbara Walters Special.
I know they were looking for something that would complement the Oscars, that could run easily before the show in the East and Central time zones and after in the West. The first show had 4 guests, not 3. Again, I can't remember why. I do remember that Brooke Shields, chaperoned by her mother Terry, was the first guest. She was the biggest child star in the world, and everyone laughed when she said,
I think I'm just a regular kid that just happens to work.
Turns out it was true. She was a regular kid, and now a lovely woman. Gray.
I mean, it's greed, avarice, sex, adultery, you name it.
And Beatle, Ringo Starr, with his then fiancée, Barbara Bach.
Oh, he's a drunkard. Did you see him on the Barbara Walters show?
This is what people usually remember.
Hey, solo already, solos!
The ratings for this special were huge. To date, our highest rated special ever. So what did they put on before the Oscars the following year? A special featuring opera star Luciano Pavarotti. You don't have to be a television executive to know how it rated. And who was back 1 year later? Hello from the Caribbean. We're sure a long way from Hollywood. 1983. I did the intro Stairless from St. Martin, where I interviewed the late Robert Mitchum. Do you have a philosophy by which you live?
Never look back because something might be gaining on.
Also on the show, Linda Evans.
It's a little something for us to snack on and through.
Anyone on the series Dynasty brought you viewers in those glory days of television. And a young comic so new to fame, he hadn't even bought furniture, Eddie Murphy.
I'm crazy. I'm a nut brain. What can I tell you?
1984. Get a load of this open. She lives right here on New York Central Park, and she earns up to $100,000 a day just to be glamorous. At $100,000 a day, you can pay for the carriage.
And maybe a little champagne.
I think at that rate, a quart of champagne. Oh, boy. Christy Brinkley, Jane Fonda. Do you think that you're sexy?
Sometimes.
And Dynasty star, Joan Collins.
Do you have a philosophy by which you live?
My philosophy is that life is a banquet and most poor suckers are starving to death.
The banquet that was my career continued, and off to London I went because in 1985, no one was bigger than Boy George. Are you bisexual?
Yeah, of course I am.
It was an all-music Oscar special that also included Neil Diamond.
Lots of people like my songs.
And country's Barbara Mandrell. 1986. It so happens that the current occupant of the White House at that time was a former movie star. So I did something a little different. An hour with President and Mrs. Reagan.
I have often thought, though, that having been in show business wasn't a bad preparation for a job like this.
1987, the exquisite Elizabeth Taylor.
I've worked since I was 9.
Deborah Winger.
I'm not afraid of being called difficult.
And the irrepressible Betty Davis.
I am just too much.
And she was, headstrong and determined to the very end. 1988 marked the first time we were allowed to interview actual nominees who were up for Oscars that evening. For some reason prior to this time, the Academy felt it would distract from the award show. We had on Glenn Close, nominated for Fatal Attraction. Do you think that you deserve to win for Fatal Attraction? I know that's a terrible question, but...
I don't think it's a terrible question, because I think I do deserve to win.
Well, maybe, but she didn't. The award went to our other guest who was nominated for Moonstruck, Cher.
It's not enough to be nominated. I think that's both. You must win one time.
And also on that show, my first interview with Oprah Winfrey.
Somewhere I have always known that I was born for greatness in my life. Somewhere I've always felt it.
1989 saw Candice Bergen.
And when I look at photographs of myself in my 20s, I go, God, I wasn't bad looking.
Diana Ross. What's the biggest misconception about you?
That I'm a bitch, maybe.
Plus the divine Audrey Hepburn on the beaches of Acapulco. Are you happy?
Very.
The best time of your life?
Eh? Best time of my life.
Audrey died 4 years later of cancer at age 63. Far too young. That's it for the 80s, the 90s and beyond, when we return. Were you surprised when you were nominated?
Yeah.
Why?
You, myself, and the rest of the country.
The 1990s began with Chevy Chase.
This is beating around the bush.
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
I tell you, when you go home, you can wear a bikini.
And what I've often called the worst interview of my life, Mr. Warren Beatty. Are you glad you finally did an interview?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
In 1991, we had Jeremy Irons, who was just about to win an Oscar for Reversal of Fortune.
Stardom is not something I search for.
The legendary Sophia Loren, who is picking up an honorary Oscar.
No, I have everything that I have been dreaming of.
And I met for the first time a woman who would become a lifelong friend as well as co-worker, Whoopi Goldberg. She was nominated for Ghost. So if you do get that Academy Award,
I will float on and off that stage.
She did, and she did. I'd like to introduce you to my new friends. This is how we ended that special. Heaven help me, an interview with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Do you know who your parents were? When I see this, I want to cry. 1992, Michelle Pfeiffer. Do you know that you're beautiful?
Sometimes.
Anthony Hopkins, on the verge of receiving an Oscar for Silence of the Lambs.
I wish we could spend more time together, Barbara. I'm having an old friend for dinner.
And my first interview with Tom Cruise. Wow. Did you know you were good looking? The truth.
I didn't know. I remember my sister and her friends, they would meet after school. Sometimes they would choose me to practice kissing on, because they needed someone to practice on. So that bell rang and I was at a dead sprint for a couple of weeks.
1993, Denzel Washington.
At the risk of sounding egotistical, I expected to get nominated.
A very successful Garth Brooks.
I have more money than my grandchildren's grandchildren can spend.
And Sharon Stone coming off Basic Instinct.
You're only using your biceps.
Am I beginning to look more like you? 1994, I went to London to meet Elton John.
It's a little bit funny, this feeling inside.
And then I went to Hollywood to interview Meg Ryan. Do you think you're a good actress?
Sometimes I think I'm good.
And Steven Spielberg. Just before his 2 Oscars for Schindler's List. His mother was so proud. Steven, you've said that you made Schindler's List for your mother.
Yes, I did. I wanted to make my mother proud to know that I was, Jewish, and I was my mother's son. And I wanted to, there she goes, there she goes. The show's over, folks, that's it.
Oh, boy. If you had come here in the 40s, you might have caught Humphrey Bogart sitting here at the bar. Or maybe Jimmy Cagney playing cards at one of these tables. 1995, we shot this open from LA's famous celebrity eatery, Chasen's, just before it closed. The stars, all men. Jim Carrey, Liam Neeson.
I'm not a ladies' man.
Michael Douglas.
Oh, man, am I a lucky guy.
1996, Richard Dreyfuss at his friend Carrie Fisher's house. And you and Carrie Fisher are great friends?
We are of the same egg.
Annette Bening in San Francisco.
I remember my first line, aquí están los tres cerditos.
And Demi Moore in a strip club.
You get your hands on your knees, and get your legs a little bit out like this. Kind of cup your back in.
Cup my back in?
Yes, there you go. And tuck down a little bit.
All right.
And then just rock.
Okay, enough of that. 1997 and 2 nominees. Woody Harrelson in L.A. Oh, this is nice. Can I stay here for a week or so? Lauren Bacall in New York.
Are you gonna slice us some Nova?
And Harrison Ford at his ranch in Wyoming. Can you fish here?
Oh, yeah, fantastic fishing.
1998 Oscar nominee, Burt Reynolds. Well, you turned down MASH, you turned down James Bond, you turned down the role in Terms of Endearment, for which Jack Nicholson won an Academy Award. You either have very bad judgment or you're very unlucky.
Or generous.
Will Smith with Jada.
I'm still making rap records. I can't be crying on Barbara Walters.
Kim Basinger without Alec.
Dreams really do come true, Barbara.
1999, Celine Dion. Susan Sarandon.
If you aren't making mistakes, you're not doing anything.
And a lively and now white-haired Elizabeth Taylor. Have you ever thought of what you wanted on your tombstone?
Here lies Liz. She lived. No, I don't like Liz. I hate that name.
Well?
Here lies Elizabeth. She hated being called Liz.
When we return, the dawn of a new century of Oscar specials. Okay, when you won the Golden Globe, you thanked your husband. You said, I never knew what it was like for someone to have my back. No one protected you like Jesse?
You're telling me I'll get $5 grand to go pick up my ex-wife? And bring her to jail? I won't even break a sweat.
On March 19th.
You are a bounty hunter, please.
Well, I caught you, didn't I?
Get ready.
I'm not letting you take me to jail.
Good luck with that.
To get some action.
The year 2000 brought another wonderful interview with Michael Douglas, plus his pregnant bride, Catherine Zeta-Jones. Catherine says I'm pregnant.
Yes. You said I'm not shooting any blanks.
I finally met the hysterical Mike Myers.
But there's two Barbaras. There's Barbara S. and Barbara W. I'm getting a little verklempt.
And I asked Ricky Martin the question that many to this day feel was inappropriate. You know, you could stop these rumors. You could say, as many artists have, yes, I am gay, or you could say, no, I'm not.
Barbara, for some reason, I just don't feel like it.
Early 2001 feels like a different era, doesn't it? This is from an open at the Wax Museum. That's me in the middle. These folks are not real. At least on the show, funny Ben Stiller. You haven't been funny yet.
I know.
I hope that makes you feel better. You have not been funny. Beautiful Faith Hill.
Jesus loves me, this I know.
And John Travolta and Kelly Preston in a rare couples interview.
I'm all for you, body and soul.
Doesn't get much better
Doesn't get better than that.
As tough a year as they've had recently, it's heartwarming to see them in happier times. Good evening. It's Oscar night again. 2002. Because of the events of 9/11, the Oscars were a subdued affair, and so was our special. In fact, we chose not to leave the studio for our open. This is actually the set of The View with a few extra flowers. Our guests, Sarah Jessica Parker from the Sex and the City set.
But of course, the pièce de résistance. The closet. The closet.
Tom Cruise, this time surrounded by his airplanes.
Oh, Tom. So these are your babies.
These are my toys.
Your toys.
And Halle Berry, about to win an Oscar.
Thank you, Halle.
Thank you. And no tears!
Ah, you almost did, John.
2003 was also different.
But surprisingly, the arts have flourished in times of unrest.
Oscar night came on the heels of the invasion of Iraq. We shot an open. Remember this?
For inspiration and for entertainment.
You couldn't. It never aired. I felt the special was too lighthearted for such an important and emotional time. We pulled it, and it ran a few weeks later with a new open and no fanfare. These are difficult and unsettling times. The Oscar-nominated guest from that special, Renee Zellweger.
See where he's going with this?
Yeah, he's
Isn't
gonna
that
say.
mean?
Yeah,
Julianne Moore.
Here we go. Mwah. See, isn't that nice?
Nicolas Cage.
What's been the best time of your life?
Right here, right now, with you.
In 2004, we recycled 2003's original open location and spoke with Matt LeBlanc.
How you doing?
Yeah. We also had Diane Keaton.
Don't you agree with me, Barbara? I mean, honestly. I mean, no?
No. Oscar host Billy Crystal.
You look marvelous. Really, darling. 15 years, forget about it. I am crazy going nuts with you.
And a brief interview with Mike Myers, Shrek.
Oh, yes, Barbara. Or Babs. Can I call you Bibbity?
Yeah, can I call you Shrekky?
Sure.
Okay.
Shrekky and Bibbity.
Yeah.
Well, Bibbity.
2005 saw Will Ferrell.
Hello.
Will?
Barbara.
Terry Hatcher.
These are good things.
No, it's a good thing. It's a good cry.
And that year's Best Actor winner, Jamie Foxx.
I got a woman way over time.
In 2006, we figured the Oscar specials were over. The Academy wanted the time back, and we were forced to run our special a few days before the Oscars. We went back to 4 guests. Matthew McConaughey.
Smile, let me see those teeth. Wow.
There's those teeth.
And that concludes our interview.
Thank you.
Patrick Dempsey.
And apples are very funny.
Mariah Carey.
Mariah, I've never seen anything like this. It's like a movie set.
Well, that's a pretty big statement coming from you.
And the man of my dreams, George Clooney.
I'm a huge star.
You are a huge star.
Right.
Repeat after me.
I am a huge and former sexiest man alive, 1997.
It was a good show, and it should have aired on Oscar night. ABC evidently thought so too. And the following year, we went back. 2007 had me interviewing Oscar host Ellen DeGeneres.
I got nothing but gratitude my whole life.
Oscar nominees Jennifer Hudson.
Life's not as bad as it may seem if you open your eyes to what's what's in front of you.
Helen Mirren.
I never wear trousers. I have an enormous bottom.
Oh, I didn't know. And Eddie Murphy.
Next question, Barbara.
After your success in Beverly Hills Cop
Yes,
and
Beverly
Coming
Hills
to
Cop.
America and so
Right.
forth, then I'm going to be sorry I asked you. Then you had sort of a slump for about 8 years.
I had a what?
A slump.
I ain't had no damn slump. Let me tell you something, Barbara Walters. There was no slump. That's a damn lie, and this is an outrage. Here, what station? This is ABC, isn't it?
Yes.
This is an outrage on ABC.
By the way, both Helen and Jennifer won that night, while Eddie Murphy, who seemed like a shoo-in, lost.
Rip me apart, Barbara.
2008, and the guests started getting younger. I spoke with Miley Cyrus. You're 15 years old. Do you ever rebel?
Not usually.
And Ellen Page. Also, Vanessa Williams.
Yes, darling.
And an age-appropriate Harrison Ford. How is this Indiana Jones different from the man we saw almost 20 years ago?
Well, he's frankly 20 years older.
More young people. Last year, the Jonas Brothers. Am I going to find anything out here?
Probably not.
And Anne Hathaway.
I do terrible things. I really do. I just have very discreet friends.
Also Mickey Rourke.
It would sum up the whole comeback thing, I guess.
And from Hugh Jackman, a lap dance.
How you feeling on this Oscar night special? Hey, look at me, baby. Come on.
I don't want to do. There are no questions.
You know what?
This concludes
Come on.
the interview. After a lap dance from Hugh Jackman, what else was there to prove? 29 years in all. I guess I could have stopped at 30, but it seemed like a cliche. I'll be back in a moment with my last Oscar night interview, Sandra Bullock.
Ask me nicely.
Ask me nicely what?
Ask me nicely to marry you, Margaret.
Sandra Bullock was the box office star of last year.
Would you please, cherries on top, marry me?
People like her. She puts paying fans in theaters. She does not win acting awards.
And the Golden Globe goes to Sandra Bullock, Blindside.
Not, that is, until this year.
And the actor goes to Sandra Bullock.
So, when she got Oscar nominated for Best Actress in The Blind Side, it was like a tiny miracle in her great big career. She is, whether she likes it or not, and she doesn't, the queen of romantic comedies.
George!
The gal who gets the guy moments before the closing credits. Sure, the thriller Speed put her on the map, but when a cruise ship replaced the bus in the sequel, the colossal failure made her rethink things. If she was going to play cutesy-klutzy roles, then she darn well was going to control the sort of cutesy-klutzy roles she played. She became a successful producer, got rich and powerful.
I need to talk to you for a second.
And the girl next door became the woman in charge.
Okay.
But Sandra was clearly not content. She was, you see, the daughter of an opera singer mother and a voice coach father. As a kid, she would be at home in Virginia one day and traipsing around the great opera houses of Europe the next. Her parents were serious artists. Maybe she was supposed to be one too.
Do you have any place to stay tonight?
Opportunity knocks.
Don't you dare lie to me.
If you are one of the few people who haven't seen The Blind Side, it's the story of Michael Orr, a sweet, troubled black kid from an abusive home, adopted by an upper-middle-class white Southern family, who goes on to become a football star. Sounds like a ridiculous Hollywood fantasy. Two things make you buy it. One, it's true. Two, Sandra Bullock.
You threaten my son. You threaten me. You so much as cross into downtown, you will be sorry. I'm in a prayer group with the DA. I'm a member of the NRA, and I'm always packing.
But you see all those circles? Those are fish.
Are they?
Yeah. I've interviewed Sandra before, 15 years ago, in Mississippi, when she was filming A Time to Kill. In general, if one can be in general, do you want to be married?
I would love to be in a place where I go, I'm ready to be married.
Are you?
No, not right now.
8 years later, she was ready. While touring the set of the cable show Monster Garage, she met the love of her life, a tattooed tough guy named Jesse James. Many people considered it a mismatch. Clearly, these people have never seen a good romantic comedy.
To my husband, there's no surprise that my work got better when I met you, because I never knew what it felt like for someone to have my back. So thank you.
They married in 2005, and she is now stepmom to his 3 kids. And everyone in her life calls her Sandra, not Sandra. Sandra. It is Sandra. But if you win an Academy Award, is it Sandra?
Well, people have been trying to make it Sandra for quite some time, but I don't think I have the class or the personality to support a Sandra.
Even if you win an Oscar, you can't be Sandra.
No, it's going to be Sandra.
Sandra.
Yes, Sandra.
Okay. You and Meryl Streep, who is also nominated, have had this competition, this pretend. Maybe it's not so pretend.
Maybe it's not.
Yes.
You know Meryl.
Yeah. And if Meryl wins, what will you say
I'm
to
gonna
her?
beat the out of her. No, I'm just kidding. You know what?
And thank you, Sansa.
And thank you, beepers.
This is the girl. This is the girl next door. You have made more than 30 films. Many of them romantic comedies, very successful romantic comedies. And you have said people who do what I do don't make award-winning films.
Well, we get awards like Best Hissy Fit and Best Kiss, which I value. A Best Kiss is not easy to get, so I have several awards that represent my kissing abilities. But I also didn't choose roles that I said would one day garner me great recognition. I mean, I stopped working for a while because I wasn't happy with my work anymore. And
you did. You stopped working in 2002.
Something like that, yeah.
Why?
I reached the finishing point. You know, I realized I'd been making wonderful movies, but I'd also made some movies that were not so good, and I didn't want to do it anymore.
So you just stopped?
I just stopped, and I thought it would be like 6 months.
Yeah.
I restored an old building here in New York.
Well, I understand that you're very good at that. That your father taught you how to do things.
I was the boy. I was supposed to be a boy.
You were Sandy then. So Sandy.
Yes, Babs.
Let's talk marriage.
Okay.
Okay.
Because I know so much about it.
Well, you got married fairly late. You were 40. Why had you resisted it all those years?
You know, I'd always had this feeling that if you got married, it was like the end of who you were. And I just never met anyone that was bigger than me.
So then you meet Jesse James. He's 5 years younger. He likes guns, helicopters, motorcycles. He had his own biker television show. He's the man's man. You're the all-American girl. What was the attraction?
That he's more than the sum of all the parts that you just listed.
Well, tell me more. I mean,
tell me more, therapist.
Tell me, yes, thank you. Lie down on my chair.
Lie down and weep for me, will you please?
You are so different. What?
But we're not.
Okay, but that's what I want to know. How are you similar?
The end result in life that we both want is the same. The thing we want at the end of the day is the same, is that we want to come home. You know, we don't want to, you know, he's not out in bars. He works hard. He can put up with me. I mean, my God, Barbara, you know, look at me. Do you know what I mean? Like all of a sudden you bring a spotlight that someone doesn't necessarily.
He has to go to a premiere now and then. He has to be Mr. Bullock or whatever his name may be.
Oh, he'll never be Mr. Bullock.
No, I know that, but you have to live with the fact. Get out of this shot, please. We want to take your wife.
He couldn't be
to
happier.
Get out of the shot.
Yeah.
Okay, when you won the Golden Globe, you thanked your husband. You said, I never knew what it was like for someone to have my back. No one protected you like Jesse?
Not in a partnership like that, but I'm partially to blame for that. You know, I never allowed myself to be cared for or protected that way in a relationship.
How does he protect you?
Not once asking me to be anything other than what I am.
Does that affect your work?
Completely. It's not a mistake that my work got better the minute that I met him. I became committed to being scared and being braver, because I really couldn't fail anymore.
Because you have him, you can't
because
fail.
I have a home to go home to.
Your parents were married a very long time.
Yeah, they
I mean,
were.
you had a good example. You were very close to your mother.
Yeah.
And she died in 2000. What do you think she would think about your getting possibly an Academy Award?
She would be mortified that I even had a tear in my eye if I gave an acceptance speech.
Why?
Oh, she just abhorred anyone who got up there and cried and said, this is the best day of my life, and she would go, better than the birth of your child. You know, I mean, I think she would be very proud, not because of what I'm being given in terms of opportunities in these moments. I think she'd be very happy with how I carved out my life. I think she was so worried that we would be normal. She was petrified that we would be normal. All we heard.
She didn't want your.
No.
Your mother did not want you to be normal.
She was like, please be original. Don't do what the other kids are doing. I mean, it was, and it would drive me nuts because all I wanted as a teenager was normalcy.
You and I did an interview back in 1995, and at that time I asked you to look forward 10 years and see where you might be. You couldn't do it.
I still can't do it.
But I was going to say, so here we are.
Yeah, here we are.
It's been 10 years.
Wow.
So okay.
Yes.
Indulge me.
Okay.
Look ahead 10 years.
Some liposuction. No. 10 years from now, I hope I'm healthy. I hope I'm healthy. I hope I have my sense of humor intact. I hope the same people that are in my house today will be there 10 years from now. So I haven't the slightest idea. I don't know.
I hope you have a wonderful 10 years.
Thank you.
With everything you want.
Thank you. And you'll be right there.
Well, I don't think so.
Interviewing me along the way.
Hello! Yeah, where are we going to be 10 years from now? I won't even remember your name.
It's you and me and George Clooney. Remember that you were interviewing George Clooney that time too?
Yes.
Didn't you ask me what kind of tree I wanted to be?
No, that was somebody else.
Barbara, ask me what kind of tree. Okay. No, Barbara, if you were a tree, since this is your last...
Oh, don't do this.
No,
I'm
this is
gonna,
good.
I'm not going to play your game.
Keep the cameras rolling. Thank you.
I am not playing your game. This is the end of the...
Barbara,
cut tape.
in
cut
10 years.
Cut tape.
No. Okay, in 5 years.
Yes.
What would you like to have in your life that you don't have now?
Time. That's it.
Wow. Shut me up.
Stop tape.
The Barbara Walters Special, brought to you by Kohl's.
I should tell you that I'm not going anywhere. I'm just done with the Oscar specials. I will still be hosting my 10 Most Fascinating People specials. I will still have my duties at ABC News, and I will continue to appear in my program, The View. But I want to thank ABC for their continued support. I want to thank you, our viewers, who have always been my safety net. And finally, as they say, I would like to thank the Academy for sharing the evening with me for almost 3 decades. Good night.
Ms. Barbara Walters, this is a thank you from all of us that you've tortured on camera for all these years. We wish you weren't going, but we're glad you were here. Thank you.
Sandra, I promise, next time we're together, I'll make you cry.
Bring it on.
And congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. This is terrible. This is the cheap stuff.
This is really lousy.
It's really bad. And we're not kidding.
And you can keep this in.
Did Meryl get the Cristal and I got what?
Oh, she got everything. She got champagne, she got chocolates. To Meryl.
To Meryl. Long may she reign.